Welcome back to the series where we take movies at face value, because sometimes they're literally a man coming to life after thousands of years of being frozen, only to try and remove a group of people from the world because he suffered from PTSD. But to imagine that, let me just put you in his shoes. So imagine for a minute that you are Taga. You were not born an air nomad, but you were an extremely loyal disciple of the Avatar Sonam, who somehow managed to develop magical bullshit spirit bending powers and turned you into an airbender. A thing that would never ever happen again, really. You were chosen first, an honor that you gladly accepted. It was an enormous burden, but all you ever really wanted was for you to be there for your people and your nation, so to become an airbender was kind of like a dream come true. Then she tasked you with becoming the peacekeeper of the world, but turns out being a peacekeeper of those who reject peace and to those who are diametrically opposed to you and your people is actually quite challenging, and even more challenging when they brutally murder a lot of your countrymen that you call brothers and sisters. Of course, you knew what the solution was. Destroy everyone who threatens the peace. Because if peace is the end goal, then it doesn't really matter how many men, women, or children you need to slaughter to attain it. The ends always justify the means. But your avatar didn't see it that way. She saw the pragmatic approach to be cruel, unusual, and maybe a little bit extreme. Of course, an air nomad would want to live wistfully in the clouds and not actually do anything. This is their nature. They avoid confrontation, and they avoid the harsh realities of life. But not you, because you were not born an airbender. You were born a normal person with normal person wants and fears. You know what it feels like to be powerless against the people who are akin to gods. The only way to prevent the feeling of powerlessness, or even to prevent the deaths of your countrymen, is just to become powerful yourself. So you stole her staff. Your anguish and your grief and all those feelings that you repressed came to the surface, and it was basically like full-on therapy catharsis. And what did you get for it? Being frozen in a block of ice. The Avatar would rather see her own people destroyed than prevent her people from being destroyed. She would rather the Earthbenders go at all ends to destroy all of the Airbenders than stop them. In your mind, she was weak. So imagine you're surprised one day when you are very rudely interrupted from your slumber because some colossal asshole knocked you into a rock. But anyway, you save him and collapse, only to be very rudely interrupted by another group of idiots, one of which looks like he should be using a sword at least, but doesn't carry one, and another guy proclaiming to be the Avatar, which means, unfortunately, Sodom is dead, which actually kind of breaks your heart. Yes, you thought she was weak. Yes, you grew to resent her because of how her priorities were not of the nation, because of how she prioritized the other nations over her people. But you still loved her. She was your idol. You dedicated most of your life to her, so you always feel a bit of regret because she didn't understand your point, and that's all you ever wanted, was for her to understand what you went through. The grief, the pain, the feeling of powerlessness that you had, seeing your friends, the people that you treated like family, and die, and then for her to do nothing about it. It's the ultimate betrayal.
Everyone will be amazed to see another airbender. Aang's not the last one anymore.
But the guy who probably needs a sword just dropped the ultimate bombshell that you dreaded. The airbenders have been wiped out.
What do you mean, last?
The Earthbenders apparently were successful, and here he is, this new avatar with an Earthbender. But you say nothing. Instead, you just bury that feeling deep down inside. Deep down, you know you need this new avatar to get the staff to raise a new army and wipe out the Earthbenders. Who cares if in this exact moment you see him as a race traitor? Doesn't matter. Anyway, you actually get a little bit of exposition, and it turns out it wasn't the Earthbenders, it was the Firebenders, which is just crazy to think about.
While I was gone, Fire Nation attacked.
But it is what it is, and now there's a group of non-benders on their way to get the staff, which is kind of cool because you have a group of these non-benders ready to go. And along the way, you might actually be able to socially engineer this Aang guy, who apparently has block arrows for tattoos, okay, to join your cause. Seriously, why did they remove the sick detailing of the tattoos to just go for solid lines? Did the current airbenders seriously think that having elaborate tattoos was a bad thing or something? Anyway, it turns out they have this thing called an airship that allows them to fly without the use of air bending or an air bison, which the implications for are absolutely absurd. In your time with the air nomads, they always hid out of reach. They always tried to escape war and danger by being high in the sky. And now these people can negate the one advantage that the airbenders had, which was the ability to fly and get to high places. But luckily for you, you do get to see an air bison again. And that's honestly the thing that you needed, that one piece of creature comfort to remind you of home in this strange new world where a group of can be made up of tribes and one non-bender without a sword. But you do have a heart-to-heart with this new avatar. And well, if anyone understands him, it's you. And if anyone understands you, it's him. He understands the pain of losing his people. He literally suffered the genocide of, well, the air nomads, and carries it with him.
We walk the world for a moment in time, then we return to the eternal wind.
If anyone would raise the air nomads to be the strongest faction in the world, it will probably be him. Surely not everyone in the air nomads is an ideologue who would forego violence just to satiate their own benevolence. You even get this whole flying montage where you can share your souls apparently and have a bond between each other. And this does two things. It forms, well, a bond between the two of you, the bond of countrymen, the bond of brothers.
Sonam and I fought fearlessly, side by side.
She must have saved your life.
And I mean, that night, you do have even more of a heart-to-heart. He tells you that Sona must have saved your life, and at this point you kind of feel bad, you kind of feel almost guilty, but you can't be too honest with him just yet. He won't understand, so instead you try to appeal to him.
If the Fire Nation destroyed the air nomads, how can you suffer the presence of the Fire Lord?
I mean, this also changes the topic as well, gets away from answering any questions, because you might say something without meaning to, and that could be potentially incriminating. It also allows you to try and get him to see things from your perspective, to lay the groundwork, so when the truth comes to light, he'll understand why you did what you did, and why you're going to do what you're going to do.
That's why we built Republic City. We can all live together in peace.
But then he goes on and on about some city, whatever a city is, and once the air nomads are back, it'll be complete, but this is just wrong. He's woefully naive about the nature of people. He doesn't understand that, well, the world is cruel. Maybe he'd be a bit different if he actually saw the genocide firsthand, then maybe he would actually want revenge.
I want to live in a world where we can all be together.
But he's an ideologue. Anyway, you have this big old battle in the sky, which culminates in the sounds coming out of his mouth that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
That staff can bring back my people.
I understand how much you want that,
You
but
don't understand. None of you do.
He's finally coming around to your way of thinking. He's nearly there. He's nearly yours. Just a subtle little push, and he'll be ready to bring in a new era of airbenders to the world. Screw this republic, whatever it's called. Finally, air nomads will be an empire, and never be afraid of another nation ever again. Anyway, his friends are kind of pissed at you that you didn't invite them to, go with them. You were kind of trying to get them, well, destroyed along the way, but they managed to escape somehow. This airship is clearly quite good. But whatever, you found an even more clever way to ingratiate yourself to him.
Friends, please, don't blame Aang. This is all my fault.
Admit fault, take the blame, and it makes you just look amazing. To Aang, it looks like you have his back and you understand where he's coming from, which you do. You might be the only one who does, not his so-called friends, which is an earthbender and a firebender, the two nations who have tried to destroy his people. They will never understand the situation of the oppressed. They are the oppressors themselves. But you take Aang to the lion turtle graveyard to find the staff and connect him with Sonam, which has incredible implications going forward in the series, or going backwards technically. It's honestly quite a beautiful place, and if you just overlook the fact that this is the remnants of the history of bending, and all these giant turtles all died at the same time in a random obscure place in the world for some reason.
But we're about to accomplish something that will change the world.
But he's nothing but dramatic.
I saw you try to crush the denied airships.
Oh boy, the hope machine, the person even more ideologically annoying than Aang, is ready to throw hands with you. And you are more than willing to give back, because clearly Aang is the way that he is because he's surrounded by these very idealistic morons, and the only logical thing to do is, well, remove idealistic morons from the equation. To save your people from being oppressed, you must become the oppressor. But for an ideologue, she's actually pretty good in a fight. They're all pretty good in a fight, apparently, and they probably would have won, well, if they'd actually fought against an airbender in earnest, or any airbender that would have the experience that you do fighting against every single nation, but they do not, so everything you do is basically news for them and they are shocked. Hell, they probably haven't even heard of an air nomad actually fighting to kill. But instead, these idiots lose to one airbender. They actually saw how strong airbending can be in the right hands, and when used for offense. There's a reason why airbenders became monks, because air is probably one of the scariest of all elements. Fire may burn, but air suffocates.
Brother,
Taga, it's real.
But he did it, the crazy bastard did it. And now he and you can finally bring back the air people. And you do try to reason with him, you try to tell him you murdered his friends for the greater good. You need him to dedicate his life to the air people like you have. Like Sonam should have.
The staff is the only way we can create a new air empire.
That's all you want. You just want for one avatar to stop putting the world above its people. The world will always continue on, but the air people have very clearly a track record of being the target of everyone else's ire. The world doesn't need protecting. The air people do. But anyway, the situation with Aang goes about the situation with the rest of his friends. He's obviously never faced an airbender who tried to kill. It's pathetic. This is why the air people fall, because they refuse to fight for keeps. But when you create the new era of air people and the new air empire, they will be stronger, more ruthless, and less idealistic.
I wanted to do this with you by my side.
First order of business though is, well, the denied. Luckily, Aang won't be needing his bison anymore, so you just quickly take that one. And what better people suited to your cause than the people who were literally denied and who were powerless? They literally are just like you and how you came to power. And just like Sonam did for you, you will bestow upon them the gift of airbending. And of course, well, to destroy Aang's beloved republic, whatever it's called. A mockery of your people, a mockery of Aang's people. To overlook the atrocities of the past, to forgive others is a heinous act. It spits on those who gave their lives and the sacrifices that they had. Aang should have understood that, but he didn't. But just when you're about to relish in the goodness that is the destruction of an entire city and all of its people, somehow Aang returns.
Give me the staff, Taga!
But now you have like 50 denied foot soldiers, and even more luckily, that 5-minute crash course of airbending was enough to turn them into, well, borderline master airbenders. Strong enough that a bunch of small fry can literally keep the self-proclaimed greatest earthbender, Firelord, and an avatar, and you know, a guy that needs a sword, is genuinely crazy work. Unfortunately though, the avatar knows backbending, and not in the good way. But you are done playing the nice guy. You've been trying all this time to stroke this coward's ego, make him feel good about himself, so you at least have one person from your country on your side who was a birth-born airbender. But realistically, he ran. He left the air nomads to die, and he thinks he can hire mighty you about peace. All of the air nomads died because of him, because he let the very thing you always tried to prevent happen.
Where were you? You ran!
He's the very embodiment of everything you hate about your own culture. The passive, the avoidance, the weakness. There was a time when you were the peacekeepers of the world, where being an air nomad struck fear into the hearts of nations because they knew how powerful you all were. And that's why you were able to be the peacekeepers despite being the lowest population. But now there's not a single one left. Well, there's one left. It was burnt to ash by the Fire Nation. A nation the air nomads should have every advantage over, because we can literally suffocate the air from their flames. And it's clear only you have the will to save your people. Yes, you might be the antithesis of their culture. You might think might makes right, but that's because you want to stop the senseless killing of your family and people. Anyway, the stuff kind of gives you a Jafar cosplay, and now it's, well, your turn to give Aang the 1-2 punch and give him a little bit of solace before you absolutely annihilate him in, well, his city. One last bit of airbending, one he probably never even thought of. But somehow, through some divine magical bullshit bending, he redirected it back at you. Now, where did he learn that from? Was that water bending? And it gets worse. He cracked the staff. And what in the Dragon Ball Z power-up is this? And, like, he just goes to town. Like, this, where was this Aang before? He was, like, so weak. He was weaker than a 12-year-old, almost, it felt like. Like, all of these people were pretty fucking pathetic, honestly. But why wasn't he this ruthless before? He could have ruled the world. But that really sets him off. Like, he completely goes nuts. And no matter what happens here, well, you win. Either he murders you and becomes the very thing the air nomads need, with the power to change the world, or he falters and you get the staff back. Okay, yeah, well, you didn't see that bit coming, honestly. You kind of expected him to keep the staff, you know, because it is, like, saving his people. Like, why would he just destroy it? Why don't he just save the staff? Like, what is he doing? Even if you are there, like, why, what? Okay, well, now you lose your bending and your nation.
Not at the cost of betraying everything they stood for.
But yeah, he's kind of right. What good is protecting your people or your culture or your family if you do the very things they taught you not to do? The air nomads wanted peace above all else, wanted the world to live without suffering and pain, and believed conflict was only to be done when absolutely necessary, when all other diplomacy had failed. You thought that preempting was the best strategy, and to reign power with strength and an iron fist was the key to keep peace. But maybe peace is best kept when people work together and at least try and understand each other at times. Maybe you were wrong. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. At 200,000, probably going to be doing a charity-inspired event. No, we will be doing a charity-inspired event. I just want to shout out my members real quick, especially Good Old Granite and Be Wilder Kings. Thank you guys, your support means everything. And of course, Lavender, Zyla, Toasted Bread, Boss Link, Techno Scorpion, Suzukaze, Feather Brew, Takaru, and Alan. Thank you. Have a great day and have a great life.